Everybody loves a hot cross bun, and we love them best when they're homemade, warm and fresh out of the oven on Good Friday. Due to the lockdown, we won't be able to have our family hot cross bun making workshop in church this year, but I'm going to show you how to make hot cross buns at home so that we can still share our hot cross bun making together. You will need 500 grams of flour, 125 grams of dried fruit, a couple of spoonfuls of sugar, 300 milliliters of milk. If you want to make vegan hot cross buns, use a non-dairy milk, 50 grams of butter, or for a vegan alternative, sunflower oil, 1 teaspoon of dried yeast, and then the really delicious flavours you're going to put in it. Dried spices, whatever you've got to hand. I've got cinnamon and allspice, and I've also got nutmeg. And then whole spices, I've got cloves, cardamom and allspice berries, but use whatever you have in the cupboard. And finally the zest of 1 orange. To start, we pour our milk into a saucepan, and we will add to that our butter, or in my case, when I have vegans in the household, sunflower oil. Whack in your dried spices, a little bit of nutmeg going in there, and finally zest that sweet and juicy orange. Next, take your 500 grams of flour, add to it 1 teaspoon of dried yeast, whack in your dried spices and your sugar, and finally your dried fruit, and give them all a good old mix together. Put your milk with the spices on the stove, put it over a low to medium heat. You want it to have time for the flavour of the spices and the orange zest to infuse into the milk. Don't bring it fast to the boil, just bring it to almost boiling so that bubbles appear around the edge of the pan only. Once your milk is warmed through, strain out the spices. I'm making a bit of a mess here. And then you have your milk ready to make your dough. So then you take your warm milk infused with spices and you pour it into your dry ingredients. Keep stirring to incorporate all of the flour. This is my favourite bit, well, other than the eating. And get your hands in there and give it a good knead. Don't be tempted to add extra liquid too soon. Once the dough's come together, rescuing any loose raisins. Turn the dough out, and you want to knead it for about 10 minutes. After kneading for 10 minutes, your dough should be silky, and if you push your finger in, the dough should begin to rise back. You then want to put some oil on the ball of dough, pop it back in its bowl, cover with a clean cloth and leave to rise between an hour and an hour and a half, or until it's doubled in size. So with clean hands, oh look at that, we take our dough and punch the air out of it. It's called knocking back, and give it another quick knead. Then you'll split your dough into 12 or 16 roughly equal pieces. Well, now place your hot cross bun on a baking sheet with some greaseproof paper and make an incision in the shape of a cross, because this is what makes it a hot cross bun. Pull the dough out very slightly so that you have a gap. Now, to make the crosses, you'll need some flour, just ordinary plain flour, and sugar, and mix that with some water. To make a nice gooey paste. Okay. You then want to ease the mixture into the incision, bring it off at the end. Now, hot cross bun is ready for its second prove, except for one final thing, which is the glaze. Now, ideally, the best kind of glaze is an egg glaze. That's just an egg beaten up and brushed on the surface of the hot cross bun. But as we're making vegan hot cross buns in my house, I've just used some oat milk. Any kind of non-dairy milk will do, and a little bit of oil. It won't give it the same shiny quality that an egg glaze with, but it's the second best thing. Once you've made all your buns, put the crosses on, glazed them, you want to cover them again with a clean cloth and leave them to rise for another 40 minutes. Once your hot cross buns have had their second prove, they should be about this size. You want to pop them in the oven for 10 to 15 minutes at 210 degrees, about 200 if you've got a fan assisted oven. So these have been in for about 11 minutes and they are ready. Once your hot cross buns are out the oven, you want to glaze them while they're still warm. This is just 2 tablespoons of sugar mixed with 2 tablespoons of boiling water. Just brush them liberally on your hot cross buns so they go nice and shiny, like this one. Delicious. Enjoy.